Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. Adam Steele here. It's part 4, the final part of this pop punk ska mixing series. So, it's been just over a week since I saw you last, and when we did the last video, we did the reamping, which was split into 2 parts because the internet failed. But yes, once that was done, I have been on the road with Monuments, and while I've been out, I have been using the Slate VSX system, and it's been really good because I was able to hear everything that I was doing on this mix and got a bit carried away and did most of the mix off camera, which is kind of what I had to do whilst on a tour bus going through France and then Belgium, then Germany. So let's change so you can see what's going on. I've pretty much finished the mix and then finished the master as well because I couldn't leave it alone because I'm terrible like that. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of stuff to cover that wasn't done last time I saw you that is now essentially done. That's the album with all the audio. Many audio. Who's this on text now? Spam. Yeah, so it keeps going. There's a lot going on, and it only stops there at channel 122. There's lots, and so I'm going to be taking you through some of the things that I've done. Like there are folders and folders and folders. That's I think 4 folders in. You see the indent there. That's bananas. That's a folder containing a single guitar performance, a folder containing all 4 of those guitars, a folder containing the guitar groups, and then that's all in a folder that I've called the instrument bus. So I'm just going to play you the first song, Shameful, and I'm going to talk through what I've done, and I'm going to just listen through with you. I'm going to put the headphones on. It's a heat wave, so I've been trying to put that off as long as possible. But here we go, and then we'll talk through, and if you've got any questions, I will answer them as we go. It's going to be a lot of Q&A today, so please feel free to ask lots of questions in the chat. Right, so there's a lot going on. I had to turn that output down on the OBS side for you guys by 5 dB because that is absolutely blasting. let's very quickly go and do this request from Joel to change the end of the intro to a flam. I'm just going to check the reference. Oh, so it was always... I don't know what's happened there. That I remember that being a flam. Yeah, okay. Fixed. Weird. Yeah, so a lot has happened. So the drums are Extinction Level Event, ELE, from Spectre Digital. So this is Glenn Fricker's new kit. And originally, I just had this. I tweaked all the levels of the shells and the cymbals. And so that came out of the master. And I'll just turn off some of these effects. And I was finding that the cymbals weren't coming through the mix. That was a later thing. And they were really dynamic and too dynamic for this kind of stuff. So what I did is I in Contact split all the cymbal mics, all the room mics, all that kind of stuff to come out of a second stereo output, which I made a new track called Cymbals, and then just made a send from Audio 3 and 4, which was that new group, to this new track. So this new track is just all the cymbals, room mics, all that kind of stuff. And the other one is the slightly bleedy close mics. So this one, the cymbals, I ran it through my favorite compressor, crusher, destroyer, the Devil Lock. So it sounded like this originally. And then the Devil Lock makes it big. Then the virtual mix rack has a bit more of the Monster, which does a bit more of that kind of thing. So that was from this to this. And that's being used, it's a really aggressive compressor, but it's more of an overall leveler because the mix is at kind of, 15%. So it's really smashing it, but then blending a tiny little bit in so that on any less dynamic sections it comes up, and on big dynamic sections, the compressed, the 85% of the dry mix. And the same with this, it's kind of like 90-80% dry. The dynamics are allowed to breathe, but everything else kind of underpins it with kind of a bed of ferocity. Then there's some saturation with the Hollywood virtual tube thing, which just kind of harmonically enriches the high end to make it come out more. And then there's a tiny little bit of an EQ dip at 665 hertz. This is really fast music, generally speaking, on this album. So that little bit of a low mid cut just helps leave more room for some of the other instruments. And that is it. That's the drums. I stuck with the high snare. And quite often, one of the reasons that the drums look like this for the album is I glued them all together so that I could open the entire album's MIDI as one thing. Because there were a couple little, a lot actually, of issues with the drums, because the original drums that Joel used were Slate Drums 5, which is a different mapping to ELE, and some of the notes that he'd used didn't trigger at all. And so I had to find other cymbals on different keys and shift things appropriately so that every time something was supposed to be hit, it wasn't just the drummer missing, it actually hit a thing. And from there, I checked the reference a bit. That's what's taken me a lot of the time, actually. So what's the difference between wet and dry? Okay. So dry is when you've got some sort of compressor or something that changes the sound. The wet sound is the sound that has been changed, and dry is the original sound with nothing done to it. So by blending between the two, you can get a bit of the new thing and keep some of the original thing, so you can, kind of get some of the cool effects and not have to have everything be that. And these are a really good example, actually, because the Devil Lock compressor here, if I run this at 100% wet, which is just everything, it just crushes the drums up till it just sounds like useless noise. But at 0, you can hear that bell ride, that ding, 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 ding coming through far too loud. So that blend in between, it's still loud, but everything under it still comes through. I think I might just take those ride bells down a little bit. So they're ding, ding, ding and not grang, 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 because they are a little offensive. The bass has everything that we talked about originally is exactly the same. And then I've got the black box kind of saturation distortion really driving the bass. Just gives it more of an aggression. Then I've got re-EQ. There were a couple of nasty ringing notes, which we mostly found in the reamp session. And then there's a big thing here, which just brings out that ding, dingy, ding, diggy, ding. That's nearly 2K. I'll turn that off. It's a good bass tone. But it doesn't have that ding, dingy, ding. So I brought that out because the guitars are so full, and we'll get to them in a second. And then double tap is my hero at the moment with bass, because that just levels the low end. Without, it's a bit, and with it's just solid. It's amazing. The guitar group, there's a lot of automation going on the guitars now, so kind of more, less as sections. If I can't hear a guitar, then I'll bring it up a little bit. If it's too loud, I'll bring it down a little bit per section, rather than just for the whole album more guitar, for the whole album less guitar. Sometimes with it being an instrument that really takes up a lot of space, it's something that I have to do is go, oh, that's too loud here, and just bring it down a little bit. But the rhythm guitars now sound immense. I spent a lot of time wrestling with the rhythm guitars because they're the rhythm guitars are kind of the key to holding the mix together. And so you'll see there's a lot of bumps on this EQ, but they're all disabled. The only one that I ended up keeping was there was a nasty frequency, which I found that and had to get rid of that because that was nasty, that was piercing. And if you look at all the EQ here, there's a high mid bump which has been turned off, a low mid muddy cut which has been turned off. Oh, Scott's here to show me what I'm doing wrong. The only EQs I've got left are a tiny little high bump, which is kind of a very me thing. A big mud scoop at 400. That get rid of that thing. Come on. Because for this mix, that thickness was just too much for this, because it's fast music. It was just dominating the mix, and that's about it. And yeah, so yeah, like I said, disabled. Yeah. Mike from Let's Talk About Reaper. Hey, dude. Bass mint versus double tap. They are completely different things. Bass mint, I find, is really good at kind of giving me more lows or thicker lows, if that's what I need. Double tap is a completely different beast because it's a multi-band compression, and that's about all it does. Is it separates the low end, holds the low end down in a place fairly transparently, actually. And then it's got an overall compressor, not just the top band, but all of it after the low band compressor. And it's that reaction of the two of them together is really, really awesome. I used to have to do that with a multi-band compressor, then a separate LA2A afterwards and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. Yeah. And yeah, just for Joel's reference, Scott from Chernobyl Studios is a good friend of mine. He is taking the mic. Hi, Scott. But yeah, these sound huge. And then I've got some octave guitars over the top. And those I ended up, again, with a little high frequency lift, because it's kind of what I like to do. These ended up with a big 2K boost. Which on its own doesn't sound like it's doing anything. Oh, there's also the big kind of low frequency, high pass filter, scoop, get rid thing. And yeah, it doesn't sound like it's doing much, but in context with the main rhythm guitars, this 2K boost means that the octave guitars have their space to just sit above in that kind of octave line space. Without it. So without that EQ boost, I've just turned it off. It all sounds like one big mush. But with that boost, suddenly that top line has its own place. We can hear it, we can pick it out of the white noise of the rhythm guitar. And if anything, I'm going to boost that a little more. Something that Chris Lord Alge teaches is don't be afraid to twist the knobs. If it needs doing, it needs doing. I try wherever possible not to go hard on EQ, but if it's needed, just do it. Don't be afraid of it. And then we get into some real clever stuff. So the brass, there's lots and lots of brass. I didn't do that much to it, really. So that's going, well, a lot of these are going now to a short room reverb, which does this. Stops everything sounding super dry, and then there's a plate. That big shiny shing kind of reverb that together, as long as they're not overdone, they stop things sounding kind of boxy and cheap. If I turn them off, the sound's gone before the ear can hold on to it. And so all I've got on here, if I remember rightly, is this virtual mix rack, which is doing a lot. It's doing a lot of work. There is a little bit of a high frequency boost. Again, I seem to like doing that at the group stage. And then there's a fairly well hit distressor that's basically on limiting mode. Because a lot of horns that hit hard, they can have quite a lot of a ba 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 ba, and we don't really want that in the mix. We want to know they're there. We don't want to be hit with kind of transient information. They were quite muddy, which is where this SSL comes from, that's scooping 500-ish. That's just making more space for the vocal. So there's a shimmer and a thickness to kind of make up for that. I might just change this mix bus here to the API. It's something I seem to have been preferring on this album. Not sure why, but there's just a tonality to the tracks that this particular drive on the mix buses seems to do well. And before I talk about the vocals, everything that I've talked about so far is now going through an instrument bus. So we get basically an instrumental. And that's going through the Shadow Hills Class A bus compressor. And I'm hitting it quite a bit harder than I used to. including a slightly faster attack than usual at 10 milliseconds. And the reason for that is it's holding everything together. But I had a bit of a revelation from talking to George Lever about the Monuments in Stasis album production and how he works. That how he works is he now doesn't put the vocals through the same kind of bus that the band goes through. Because I was having a little bit of an issue with the mix while I was on the tour bus, where the vocals kept disappearing, because it's quite a busy mix. And so what I've done is the vocals are now completely separate and do not go through that compressor. They are completely separate.
All the time that we waste when we flip through the pages
and so, yeah, when we did the reamping, we had a lot of this in place already on the vocals, but let's talk through the vocals. So we've got the main vocal here. We did all the analog reamping where I think we went through an optical compressor and we went through the virtual tape, not the virtual, the real tape kind of saturation style hardware.
Now, no way, you made your bed, so get in it, cause the shoe fits. You think
so this has a little bit of plate reverb on, but I could take that off for a minute.
Now, no way, you made your bed, so get in it, cause the shoe fits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scott's just mentioned Track Spacer, which I'm going to come back to in a minute, because I'm also using Track Spacer. But I'm using Track Spacer on the instruments that are in that instrument bus, chained from the vocal, while the vocal is still completely separate and not compressed. You can hear from how hard I'm hitting this distressor compressor here. You can actually hear the room that Joel tracked everything in, which is super kind of weird on its own. And something I'm kind of coming to terms with is you don't always have to have a super clean vocal.
Now, no way, you made your bed, so get in it, cause the shoe fits.
On its own, that sounds overly compressed, overly distorted, and just kind of really mid-heavy. And the vocal double is very similar. It's slightly less worked on.
Now, no way, you made your bed, so get in it.
So that's got micro shift to kind of put it out to the sides. The two together sounds big.
Now, no way, you made your bed.
But the fact that the main one has that extra kind of mid push on the EQ and the distortion and the really heavy compression there means that it kind of sits, because then there's a group bus for that, which has even more going on. So more distortion, more of an overall DS adjusting that's high frequency only, just in case the two vocals as a pair end up accidentally clashing an S together and kind of standing it out of the mix. I noticed that using the VSX system. That was really useful for that. Then there's kind of a bus compression.
Now, no way, you made your...
That's very slow and more of a kind of an overall leveler, which again makes my job easier. Couple of pushes on the EQs. This is all the custom series, which is very broad, very musical. And that's all just being pushed out, so it really stands on top of the mix. And then there's Soothe here, which is acting as an extra de-esser, but also just a general nastiness filter.
Now, no way, you made your bed, so get in it, cause the shoe fits. You think you're special, guess what, you're not.
And the backing vocals.
Now, no way.
Again, very similarly processed. It looks like this SSL is almost doing nothing apart from the high-pass filter. There's a bit more de-essing on the backing vocals than the main ones.
Now, no way.
And that's sounding pretty good. The gang vocal needed a little bit more work inside that bus, so it's kind of heavy. There's a soothe on the backing vocals as well, especially in that 1K area, because there was a lot of kind of which was competing with the main vocal. So rather than EQing it away, I used soothe to just dip that out when it got strident.
No way.
So you can see there when the backing vocal really kind of launches and gets that big note in it, soothe now by this big scoop here takes it away. so it doesn't just attack you like a main vocal. Useful. And yeah, so I'll just go past the backing vocals. We've got a few extra little things. Some of the songs have little extra things, like the song "Do Not Disturb" starts with this final crackle, which the processing on that is none. I didn't even think it needed a radio effect. The guitars and the horns both have radio effects on them, so there was no need for kind of a third one. It already gave enough illusion. Then there's these kind of reverse guitars. And there's this electronic drum stuff on Bitter Pill. And that just needed some quite aggressive compression and a couple of EQ pushes to make it stand out of the mix. I don't think that's even doing anything that should be turned off, because that's not adding anything. It's just sucking up CPU cycles. But yeah, then we get onto Track Spacer. So Track Spacer is awesome, and it's it's all triggered from the main vocal. Let's just bring this up a little. There we go. Yeah, so the vocal group is sent to, firstly, the backing vocal group has a copy of Track Spacer. So whenever the main vocals go in, it kind of carves space out of the backing.
All the time that we waste when we flip through the pages, a knife in my back from outsider invader.
And a general thing of mine is I don't like to have the super high end affected by Track Spacer. I think it kind of causes problems. But I've also got the entire guitar group running a Track Spacer, which also doesn't have the lows affected by the vocals.
All the time that we waste when we...
So if there's supposed to be a chug chug or anything high on the guitars, it doesn't sound like they've had their level reduced. It just kind of sounds transparent, because this midsection you're not listening for because the vocal is dominating that space.
All the time that we waste when we flip through the pages, a knife in my back from outsider invaders.
And it just, from millisecond to millisecond, just carves out space without me having to do an EQ move, which also means that when the vocal isn't going and there's a guitar-only section, that EQ space comes back, and it fills a space in the mix that would otherwise kind of sound hollow. That's why it's useful. Because a very legitimate question is, why wouldn't you just use an EQ in that space? Good question. I could do that, but then you end up with these instrumental sections that just sound a little bit hollow. And I'd rather not do that. I want everything to sound full most of the time. That's what gives me a really, really big sounding record. And same with the brass. The brass being another kind of big feature needed their own space. So Track Spacer does a similar thing for them, although that does affect up to 8K on those, because those are quite bright.
All the time that we waste when we flip through the pages, a knife in my back from outsider invaders.
What I might do actually is mid-side the brass and see if that helps.
All the time that we waste when we flip through the pages, a knife in my back from outsider invaders.
I think that's helped, because the brass is mostly panned, and anything in the middle now will be affected more and the sides will be affected less. We might find in the mix that the brass now has more space, but doesn't interfere with the vocal still.
Guess what? You're not, so check yourself before you throw stones in your glass. All the time that we waste when we flip through the pages, a knife in my back from outsider invaders. I don't know what you want, I'm typically wasted when you call my heart false, but I ain't gonna change anything.
And that trombone solo, that's not actually in the brass group, that's next to the brass group. So that's not affected by Track Spacer, because it's more of a vocal-like instrument. So that's got some It's treated completely separately from the rest of the brass, and that's got a more gentle compressor, like an opto style compressor. It's got a 3K push and a little bit that 600 hertz cut there. Little tiny bit of kind of drive, but nothing crazy. And that means it kind of comes up to the same level as the vocal, which it seems to be easily the most kind of characterful instrument that isn't the vocal. If that makes sense. I think it does. Just gonna check, yeah, the main vocals on API. Now I've got that in my head. Like the backing vocals are still on a channel that's API, so I'm gonna switch that out for a mix bus API. Gang vocal was a bit too bright there compared to everything else. It made it feel like it was losing energy. So yeah, my usual kind of master bus would be the Shadow Hills Class A with the black box HG2, which I still have, but the black box saturator gives everything a bit of distortion, a bit of oomph, is now after the instrument bus, because now this affects everything, because it's not a compressor, it doesn't pump and squish, and doesn't affect the vocals negatively. So there's that. And then I ended up kind of wandering into mastering territory, so I've made it fairly loud. I only bumped up 4 dB on flatline. The Better Maker EQ is something I had fun with. It's kind of Pultec-ish, but the way that I did that is I've been playing with a new toy. I've been using Metric AB from Adapter, and I'm not going to play it on stream, but after I did the video for Don't Pray For Me by Within Temptation, I thought it was a really good sounding modern master to use as kind of a reference for the amount of level and bass and treble and everything that I want. There are a few things I wanted to do differently from that, but it was a good starting point. It was way too loud. I actually had to bring the level down by nearly 2 dB because it was just slamming. But what I can do without actually showing you the sound of it is there are modes in this where I can hit play and it'll show me in blue the amount of like bass, middle, treble and everything that I've got compared to Within Temptation. This is really useful. This is phase correlation. And so this is things like how much the left and the right have in common with each other. So down the bottom, mine up to maybe 100 hertz is pretty much a straight line at the top, which means the left and right are kind of the same, which is kind of what I want from my mix. I'd like to think I've done quite well there. That the kick drum, the bass, all that kind of stuff is very, very much fine. All the levels seem to have hung on Reaper, but that's because of something to do with OpenGL on Adapter here. I don't know what happened earlier, but I take this box and it kind of fixed it. But yeah, that's something. Whereas the Within Temptation one has some weirdness going on in the low end that I don't want. Because they were using some like weird bass stereo synth thing that sounded awesome, but doesn't fit this genre. It's far too fast a track to be playing around with the low end like that, I think. Yeah, but everything looks good. The stereo image, again, going up from the bass at the bottom to the treble at the top, This is kind of how wide the track is. And again, the bottom for me doesn't have much going on, which is great. But from kind of the 100 hertz up, it's quite big. Great question from Joel. What did I do different with the snare from the first mix that I sent, which was probably the same drum sound that you guys heard on the reamping? So when I got to this point and started kind of heavily compressing and limiting everything and pushing the mix hard, there was a big on the snare that sounded great. It was there's a hall and there's different room reverbs and all that kind of stuff. But the album was too fast, again, for a lot of reverb, and it didn't make it sit right at that point. I had sent a test mix to Joel just because I had it. But what I did is I basically just isolated with solos on the drums, each one of these. And there was ones like that one. Let's just turn these up 2, 3, 4, and on the drums now you should hear. Which sounds huge, but in the mix is too much. So I just brought them down and then compressed the overall kind of cymbals and rooms and everything harder. And oh, that's not changing. Oh, Wonderbar. Let's look at my That's fine because I can just do that with them. But generally speaking, that's what I did. I just made them a lot less roomy. And also, there were 2 sets of overheads, and the 414s I kind of monoed. Because I was finding that there was just kind of a hole in the middle of the kind of the drum stereo image now that I'd taken the rooms down. So by monoing that and bringing that up a bit, in the middle of... There we go. Sorry, we had a bit of a drop out there. But I'm back. So, yeah. As I was saying, just less room made sense because then with the extra overall compression, it just sounded tighter and cleaner, which on a big kind of rock mix would make it sound a little bit thin and a little bit kind of not powerful. But in this case, because it's really high tempo, and it's a high tuned snare, the two of them together just gave us that crack rather than a big kind of cavernous whoa. But yeah, between them and everything, yeah, the brass was too bright. I moved the track spacer back to how it was before. It was the right decision as it was. So let's move on to the next song and just start moving through song by song and listen for anything that doesn't sound right. Because if there's anything that's too loud, too quiet, now's a good time to automate it. Now I've told you all about a lot of what I've done. When we get to the guitar solo, I'll show you what I did with that as well, because that was some real future world stuff that I was doing. But yeah, here's Smoked Glass.
Had a bomb drop.
I think I've got a load of cymbal hits that should be snare hits. Yeah, I'm just gonna check that on. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so they're all supposed to be snares. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I've got snares that are on the right thing now. Okay, cool. This is why I wanted to do this on live stream, because this is very quick feedback that fixes things. Save. All right, moving on. They need moved to something else. There'll be ride crashes, which are obnoxiously loud in ALE. Cool. Another little detail I did is these build-ups. I think I changed them a little so the first hit was a because it's kind of right-hand led on a build. So it sounded more realistic than just a straight line. Same with chimes. I did a little bit of work on the getting the da on the right hand to be not just 127. So this is chimes. Let's just, if anything else stands out to anybody, like a bit's too loud or I can't hear it, do say. Backing vocals are a bit much. What to do about let's put automation lane on the backing vocals. You see how it's way louder on this song than it is on some of the others. So I like them. They're just, now that I've got everything else mixed balanced, they're just overtaking things. Those bells are, yeah, 127, as I thought. So I'm going to bring them down, hit H for humanize, and just give them a little bit of variation. Let's try that section again. Cool, so I might need to do a little something with this guitar solo, but cool thing about this is this has got something like 7 tracks going. If I solo this should feel, if you're wearing headphones, like it's coming from right in front of you. definitely needs some warm in the high end. That's not a thing, Nicholas. Warm and high end don't go together. And also, I've already used a mastering reference and matched them pretty well, so I'm happy. So no, thank you. Anyway, as I was saying, so I used those from the reamping session, the Austrian Audio C818s on this, in an ambisonic configuration, and then I used a plugin from the company IEM that's decoded it back to binaural, so it feels like it's right in front of me. And mixing, I'll take the reverb off for a second. And if that sounds like it's right in front of you, that's because the binaural decoder is taking an entire 3D image using HRTF processing to make it feel like you are using a binaural dummy head. It's crazy. What I might do overall with this is there was a kind of a 1K. Let's change the 3K boost to a 1K boost. Because mixing that binaural with the actual close mics, which sound really close, they should do. There's a tiny little bit of a nasty frequency cut. There's some harshness at the highs. No, yeah, but that's fine. Again, I compared it to a very recent master from Within Temptation, and it's less bright than that. Who did that? Was that Jens Bogren? Let's just check out who did the mastering on that. If I can find who did on Discogs. It doesn't help me. What's the easiest website to find out where mastering was done? It doesn't matter. I'll come back to that another time unless somebody wants to find that for me and drop it in chat. But anyway, yeah, I want to focus this more on a 1.5K than a 3K range, so it's a bit less scratchy and a bit more pokey. There it is. I mean, I do have a significant high frequency boost from 6K up on this, but again, it compared to my reference, which I can't show you on stream because that would instantly get me a copyright flag, it was about right. You can always take it down a little and make it a more broad EQ curve. Well, Jens Bogren's mastered pretty much everything in metal recently, but I was looking for Don't Pray For Me by Within Temptation to see if that was a Fascination Street Studios job. Zinny XP, hello. If you don't get ACO is a system. Reaper already natively supports it. If you have an interface, you need the drivers for the interface from the manufacturer's website. Check out the Reaper 101 video that's very popular and approaching 1 million views at this point. Clang, sorry, I dropped that one. That will walk you through a lot of that process. Everything to the psychopath, their friends can't grasp it. There's nothing you can do, come up a pillar too, but that will lead you into trying slipping out in your head. Everything to the psychopath, their friends can't grasp it. There's nothing you can do, come up a pillar too, but that will lead you into. think that's that song complete. Do Not Disturb is the one with the vinyl crackle at the beginning, and it's also got a couple of EQs that have suddenly come to life. The brass has this really extreme looking EQ that makes it kind of sound radio effecty. It's only 2 bands, but it's a high and a low shelf, but you can use the bandwidth control to put resonance peaks on things in Reaper's own EQ. It's just... Why is that not undoing? Or is it? That's fine anyway. And yeah, so as I cross the threshold into the song Do Not Disturb, that and this EQ on the clean guitars, which is doing the same kind of thing but with more resonance peaks, are doing the same kind of thing. And you'll see them turn off with these little tick boxes.
When you're stuck alone inside, just 4 walls by your side, you're missing home life and you've just arrived. The noise from the halls will keep you awake tonight. I've been dreading this to come. You wouldn't want to stay for more than a day. Gotta check out of this life. There's an empty space in the bed beside me. Noise are banging doors, echo through the corridors. I feel like checking in back home where you are waiting for me. Sick of fresh sheets every day instead of a bed that smells of pizza boxes on the side, living out.
Cool, the rhythm guitars were too loud at one point, so I automated them down, but I think I took away... Yeah, I took away the high frequency boost, and I took away a nasty whistle, which I mentioned before. So now suddenly they kind of felt like they were lost again. So it seems like the guitars weren't too loud in this song, they were too bright for the arrangement of this song, and by taking away the brightness boost on the EQ, that kind of cumulative effect that was more noticeable on this song than some of the others.
I've been dreading this to come. You wouldn't want to stay for more than a day. Gotta check out of this life. There's an empty space in the bed beside me. Noise are banging doors, echo through the corridors. I feel like checking in back home where you are waiting for me. Sick of fresh sheets every day instead of a bed that smells of pizza boxes on the side, living out of bags is just not fine. I'm starting to wish that you were here, so pass my bag and let's get out of. I've been dreading this to come. I would've.
Okay. Oh yeah, so Lurking is Life. Hello, life is good. I'm busy. I'm going to take the clean guitars down even further on this song by a half dB because they're just starting to interfere with the vocal there. I'm in the middle of a heat wave too. Right, so there was Within Temptation was mixed by Zach Savini and mastered by Ted Jensen. That makes a lot of sense. Recorded in a Premiere in. Awesome. Well, the fact that it's called Do Not Disturb seems rather appropriate.
Pizza boxes on the side, living out of bags is just not fine. I'm starting to wish that you were here, so pass my bag and let's get out of. I've been dreading this to come. I wouldn't want to stay for more than a day. Gotta check out of this life. There's an empty space in the bed beside me. Noise are banging doors,
Yeah, the brass section's supposed to be a bit loud. It's Ska.
Do not disturb me, the sign is hanging on the door. It makes me nervous when I hear the footsteps out inside the hall. The legs are out of order, my head couldn't be much broader. Can't stay in these four damn walls no more. I've been dreading this to come. I wouldn't want to stay for more than a day. So get me out of this room and grab a bag. I'll bring my body to you.
Oh yeah, I've played around with this a lot.
Gotta check out of this life. There's an empty space in the bed beside me. Noise of banging doors echo through the corridors. I feel like checking in back home where you are waiting for me. Shake up fresh sheets every day instead of a bed that smells of you.
Awesome, yeah. So that song that I'm using as a reference, it was mixed by Zach Savini, which means that it's an absolute beast. And yeah, I'm going to bring the volume of it back to 0 dB. We're not going to hear it. I mean, I'll just, yeah. But look at the dynamics. I like to keep a relatively dynamic mix, even though it's pretty flipping loud. It seems that Ted and Zach have gone for just ultimate loudness. Watch these numbers. But yeah, I'll get the start wherever you lay. Closer now.
Locked in a box, the waves crash around right beside me. The sound of the riptide reminds me that I wanna be set free to reunite myself with you. 'Cause I know that I will never be used by you, set free to reunite myself.
There's a couple. That'll be that ride crash again, which I'm going to move to something else because the ride is super loud.
Set free to reunite myself with.
I do have the ride microphone in ELE, in Extinction Level Event, relatively high because I like to hear the ting of the ping. Having said that, on reflection, I think I am, now that the compression's on, I'm going to take that down by a couple of dB.
Set free to reunite myself with you. 'Cause I know that I will never be used by you, by you, by you. Don't know what to do without you. I don't want it to be this way. So wait down at the harbor.
Actually, let's try Waves harmony on those gang vocals. Because I've got it. So he says, I don't have it on this machine and I only have one Waves login, so that's that out, unfortunately. Downside of the Waves non-iLock system. Womp womp.
Without you, I don't want it to be this way. So wait down at the harbor for me. Just bring yourself, nothing else is what I say. You're waiting for me. Don't want to get you there. I'm waiting for you. I put my head on every day.
Actually, I do have the harmony engine from Antares. Let's just try it on this.
You're waiting for me. You're waiting for me.
Right, I think we're in E major.
You're waiting for me.
Now let's take the original and down, 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 down.
You're waiting for me.
And then go minus a fourth.
You're waiting for me.
Yeah, Waves haven't supported iLock in years.
You're waiting for me. And I'm waiting for you. You're waiting for me. And I'm waiting for you. You're waiting for me.
Oh, it's got tuning on that. No, let's not.
You're waiting for me.
Didn't realize it did tuning on the original vocal. Well, yeah, minus four is the if you're looking at the root, you're looking at a perfect fifth but inverted.
You're waiting for me. You're waiting for me. And I'm waiting for you.
Right, let's turn that off.
You're waiting for me. And I'm waiting for you.
Turn it into an 8-voice choir.
And you're waiting for me. And I'm waiting for you. And you're waiting for me. And I'm waiting for you.
Let's try that. That's made the gang vocals super loud, so let's bring that down. Yeah, why not? Let's leave that in there, but make sure it's automated only to be on for that section, because otherwise that will cause an absolute nightmare scenario. Just suddenly all the backing vocals have just got that on, so let's not.
This is what I say.
kind of cool. And the song's ended by there, so I'm going to cut all the blank space off the end. It's just kind of a waste of virtual tape. Now, where does this one begin? I brought that kick a little earlier as well, because it was supposed to kind of be ding-a-ding-a-ding-a. This is where the backing vocals need to go back to the level they were before, so we don't just get deafened.
You're living with impending danger. It's what you feel inside, but no threat looms around. It's just your lack of a peace of mind, and you feel like a waste of time. The situation leaves you blind, but no matter what you try, it leaves you feeling too tired. When you speculate about nothing, you think you might be broken. Tells you to follow it through, yeah, with words that can't be spoken. Like a monster hiding inside you, like a devil on your shoulder beside you. The discerning feeling right on cue that stops you from doing what you wanna do. And now you sweat and trembling. You're envisioning decisions with those situations that aren't any which way not there. So take a step back, start thinking of scenarios that you'll never find yourself in. I know it's hard, but you need to take control of yourself. It's now or never that you'll never sell. To take control of yourself. To take control of yourself.
That's a bit weird. Might move that across a little bit.
To take control of yourself. It's now or scenarios that you'll never find yourself in. I know it's hard, but you need to take control of yourself.
Yeah, the DS is having to be a bit heavy because you've used a really bright microphone, and so it's really overemphasized the sibilance. Something I would recommend for next time is use a different mic that's got a much more kind of a frequency response that doesn't do this. That's where things like, I think you were saying you had a AKG P120. A lot of mics sound fine until you start really working with them, and then suddenly problems stand out. And yeah, that's the kind of thing that really very quickly I kind of have to do stuff like that, so it's not just nasty. But I'll try and bring it back a little. See what I can do.
Scenarios that you'll never find yourself in. I know it's hard, but you need to take control of yourself.
If I turn that one off, Soothe might catch it.
Scenarios that you'll never find yourself in. I know it's hard, but you need to take control of yourself. Scenarios that you'll never find yourself in. I know it's hard, but you need to take control of yourself. It's now or never. I can't feel this way forever. Let the pressure around that's weighing you down, weighing you down, weighing you down. When you speculate about nothing, you
Oh, where does this one begin?
Can't explain all the feelings that you're making me feel. My heart's in overdrive, and you're behind the steering wheel. Touching you, touching me, touching you, body touching me. I believe in a thing called love. This stuff we can make it now. I believe in a thing called love. I wanna kiss you every minute, every hour, every day. You got me in a spin, but everything is A-okay. Touching you, touching me, touching you, God, you're touching me. I believe in a thing called love. Let's try to make it now. I believe in a thing called love. Touching you, touching me, touching you, God, you're touching me.
Oh, sorry.
Let's try to make it now. I believe in a thing called love. Touching you, let's try to make it now. I believe in a thing called love. Let's try to make it now. I believe in a thing called love.
I'm gonna get rid of that on the guitar there. And there's a lot of noise there. So that's going to just make sure that because that'll make the hit way cleaner. Oh, those should be something else, right? Okay. Well, that means that there should probably be something else through the whole song.
Can't explain all the my heart's in overdrive, and you're behind the steering wheel.
They sound really cool through the rest of the song, so I'm just going to move these. Whatever the hell they are, they can come up. Oh, we're never going to hear him. Lovely. Let's listen to that song from the top because it did change quite a lot. So.
Can't explain all the feelings that you're making me feel. My heart's in overdrive and you're behind the steering wheel. Touching you, touching me, touching you, body touching me. I believe in a thing called love. This stuff you can make it now. I believe in a thing called love. I wanna kiss you every minute, every hour, every day. You got me in a spin, but everything is okay. Touching you, touching me, touching you, got you touching me. I believe in a thing called love. This stuff you can make it now. I believe in a thing called love. Touching you, touching me, touching you, got you touching me. I believe
Okay, they need to come down.
touching you, touching me, touching you, got you touching me. I believe in a thing called love. The stars we can make it now. I believe in a thing called love. Think called love. The stars we can make it now. I believe in a thing called love.
Oh, that's the other thing. I'll turn the plate reverb off on the vocal. Oh, flipping it.
Touching you, touching me, touching you, got you touching me. I believe in a thing called love. The stars we can make it now. I believe in a thing called love.
Cool. Right, let's move on to this time. I think I'm going to bring those octave guitars up for the start of this song because they're kind of the feature. Probably bring up the rhythms as well for a little while.
What were we thinking on that night? We had lost our minds, started screaming.
those are super loud. And while I fix... Oh, yeah. Red. Velocity red. No thanks. And at the same time, I've got a question from Mike, which is... So, are these regions sub-projects, or did he copy-paste from other projects? Nope. It may seem a little insane, but I just mixed the entire album in one big project. I like to work this way, especially if there's very much a common sonic thread. It meant because I reamped all the bass, all the guitars, and even all the vocals through analog gear, it meant that once I'd got a sound I liked, I didn't have to open 10 different projects to do it 10 different times. And any changes that I make immediately, they affect every song, so I'm not having to do it 10 times. It does require a good few percentage more CPU points, so to speak, because if there's something that's in a song that's not in all the other songs, I've got to cater for that. Like, there's an acoustic guitar group here that only actually appears on one song, but screw it. That's there. I don't have to care. It sounds good. It's easy to work, and easy to work is my MO. If it's not easy to work as it can be, I need to change something. So there you go. Another thing that's too loud because it's all 127. Bring it down, humanize those tops. Off we go. Let's just check to see if there's another section like that, because it usually is. Yep. Down. And yeah, no drummer in the world hits a hi-hat at 127 on every hit, which is why it sounds wrong. There we go. At this point, I am going to automate this guitar up even further, because that's just going to really push. Yeah, I do the reamping based on the vibe of the songs very much. But yes, when I get sent an EP or an album, I try and do it all in one go, because not only is it easier, let's be honest, but it's coherent, it's a theme, it's cohesive, it just belongs together when you do that.
Not now to wake up. This time came to nothing. This time I'm relieved. This time came to nothing. The impossible dream for me. Never did that before.
Should bring them down too.
Never did that before. Can't handle no more. So I know the score, 'cause I am not sure. My life flashed past by me as I stared out to the sea that close to me. Felt the only way to breathe.
Yeah, this has got the solo guitar on, but it's so mid-focused. Got to sneeze. Excuse me. Oh, there we go. I found the mute button with my thumb. Way. Mike, I live long for the day my channel's popular enough for that. Oh, no, you don't, Mike. You don't. You really don't. It's not fun. Save.
They're close to me, felt the only way to breathe. But I tracked back, got home. You told me your thoughts, I told you mine. We're back now. This time came to nothing. This time I'm alive. This time came to nothing. The impossible dream for me. Now our train is back on track. Let's not ever let it crash and burn. Let it go down in.
There's the acoustic guitar for the only time on the album, with a virtual tape that makes it all nice, with a little bit of an LA2A, a little bit of EQ, not a lot of anything else. Without, it sounds good. And with, it's just a little bit shinier. Just sits underneath those nice twinkly these. Should probably cut that because there's just something I've been trying to do a lot with after the reamping is clear out the hiss. That's why I very, very rarely ever have a truly clean sound. I always have a little drive on them. It sounds clean in the mix, but outside of the mix, it sounds fairly driven. But it just adds a richness that when you put a real clean underneath it, you get this.
Down in. This time I'm alive. This time came to nothing.
Yeah, that something that I've been doing here is pushing that solo guitar further and further to the side. Because it's a cool feature, but it's really kind of messing with the rest of the stuff that's going on. And at this point, I do want loud guitars as well. So yeah, I'm gonna just do that and match the blue lines and go.
This time I'm alive. This time came to nothing. The impossible dream
Mike says, got any math rock projects to stream? Oh, I wish. That would be ace. When a math rock band comes up, I'll give you a shout. Yeah. Here we go.
When another full friend comes calling, never give you time, no warning. They only use you for something, a bitter pill in your throat won't fall in. When a phone vibrates beside you, an electric shock runs right through. Your ribs heart will tear up in two, 'cause the rage on your face will leave you torn apart. I tried to reach out to you.
And that's the end of the album. Albus, how you doing? Welcome to our Ska Pop Punk little festival that we got. There we go. Yeah, but I think, unless anything stands out as a major problem now, I think we have our mix. So this is where I do the export. And so last thing I'm going to do is set the sample rate of the project, which you're not supposed to do at the end, but I am doing, to 48k, just to so that as I export this, it will force things. And so, yeah, like I said earlier, the mastering was compared to a song by Within Temptation, which was a Ted Jensen and Zach Savini thing, which isn't exactly the reference that we talked about, but it is a very modern thing. It's too loud, but otherwise, it's a very good kind of indicator of modern tone. So I am going to just quickly mute the Reaper audio so you can't really hear it, and just AB, just for copyright purposes. There we go. So the one thing I'm noticing is I've got a little bit much in the kind of 7k range. So yeah, 1.5 octaves, take it down by dB. Let's see how that sounds. There we go, that's super subtle. Yeah, a super subtle bump there. We've got a 35 hertz filter because we don't need anything below that. That gives us a little bit more headroom so we don't get distortion. And we've got a tiny bit of a low bump, so I'm going to turn that up a little more. Do ghosts wear clothes? We all know that ghosts wear the clothes that they died in. But yeah, this I've shrunk down. This is the Better Maker kind of Pultec style EQ, and it's a lot to look at. It makes my eyes hurt, but without it, things sound like this. And then with. Yeah, and that's hitting flatline pretty hard. I'm also taking off safe clip because I'm crazy, and that should give us exactly -1. And the safe clip's like a secondary limiter that, like it says, does increase aliasing. So I'm trying not that, just to see if it gives me a little bit more dynamic. Something that this is measuring is not loudness in LUFS. This is a dynamics number. This is not, because there's another tab for loudness. This is a whole different number. Loudness is these numbers. So ours is 2 dB lower than theirs is playing back at -2 dB, so there's a 4 dB difference, which is crazy. But that's Ted and Zach doing the big thing that is just, I don't really like it to be that much, but that's just dithering noise that you can see there. If I turn off dithering in flatline, that should just stop. Yeah. And so that wibble wobble is just a clever little bit of maths that adds a little bit of quality to the sound. It's really hard to describe. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, the stereo image looks good. Mine keeps pulling to the left because the hi-hat's on the left. But in the sections where there's not hi-hat, it doesn't pull. Yeah, so on a section where the crash is on the right-hand side, the top end of the stereo image pulls to the right. That's expected behavior. That's perfectly normal. And so, yeah, all our numbers are looking good. If I put the volume of theirs back to 0 and look at the dynamics. Internal visuality, drag yourself back from the depths of hell. Inside, you hold all the keys. So go on, open the door, open the gates to Their RMS gets to above -4. It's like -3 point something. That's awesome. So, yeah. Well, if I ever see you in person, feel free to buy me a beer. But yeah, for now, this is the stream. So what I'm going to do is make this into a set of renders. And so I'm going to show you that before we go. So all project regions, region manager. It's in the test mixes folder, but I'll move them later. So the file name is wildcards. So $region number. So we get track number 1. $region. So that's going to put the track name in there because I named them all at the top here. You can see what they're called. Then that's dash Joel Boone dash Ska is. It's going to be a long set of names. Then dash BPM. Let's see if that works. It does. It pulls all the BPMs. BPM. And then we've got output format. So I've got sample rate. Oh, sample rate K. And the reason that I'm wildcarding this instead of just writing it out is that every time I do another dollar, bit depth, I can make different versions of this and it will name them appropriately. So I can have WAV files at 48K and I can have MP3s at 48K as well. But I think I'm going to do I'm going to do an MP3 and then I'm going to do something else. So I'm just going to do a single output 24K, 24-bit even, bleh. And I'm going to queue this, add to render queue. And now I'm going to change it to 44.1, 16-bit. And I'm also going to add MP3, 256K, 44.1, but use the project sample rate for mixing and then do it later. And so that's doing 2 at once and add that to the render queue. Delayed queued render to add samples to load. So now that should, I'll hit save, make sure that's all good. And now if I go to my queued renders, that should, if I hit render all, open a version of the project. doing it in a new tab, so this is going to be incredibly CPU intensive. And off we go. Let's cancel all, because that didn't wait for the load of the samples, so some of the drums would have been missing on that. But this is the kind of thing that you think, why are you doing this? It takes ages. Why not just let it go? So tick delay queued render to allow samples to load. Add render queue. Delay before rendering project 60 seconds. And the reason is that once this is done, I can go downstairs where it's not absolutely baking hot and let this churn for half an hour. Yes, if you guys want to talk to each other, do jump on the Discord or maybe on our Facebook group, which does exist for Hop Pole Studios, and talk there rather than, definitely don't drop personal details in YouTube chat. But yeah, that adapter metric AB is great, and it comes with the Plugin Alliance Mix Master Bundle. This is not sponsored. I pay for this monthly, and it's first time I've used it, and I will be using it a lot going forward. So yeah, queued render, add this to render queue, the 60-second, overwrite that one. And now, when I hit my queued renders, that's going to load up. It's going to wait 60 seconds so that all the drum samples for Extinction Level Event are guaranteed to have been loaded. Then it's going to go. And that means we can watch it begin. It's opening. It's doing a grand total of nothing. And a few seconds from now, it's going to get going. Anybody got any last questions before I go and cool down? Because I had 2 pints of water before we began, which is a litre for you Europeans. And I think I need more already. I had a shower this morning. I feel like I already need a second one today because I'm sweating. I've not sweat like this without working a show in a while. But yeah, Bob's your uncle. It's Miller time. Yeah, I'm considering a beer, but it's too hot. It's too hot for a beer, so I'm just gonna get more water and just go and cry because I leave the country again on Tuesday. So yeah, that's the other thing is jeepers. I've been busy. I only just got back in the country. And I'm about to go again. And it's, crazy. Do I have a headphone amp for the HD650s? I do. I use the Shit Audio Magnius. So kind of the step up from the Modi and the Magni. So the Magnius is a balanced headphone amp, and I bought a balanced headphone cable, so I am using kind of relatively nice amplification for these headphones. Marty says Finland. No, I'm not going to Finland with Monuments. They are on the way right now. Apparently, one of their cases has been lost by the airline already, which is not great. These headphones are just a head heater. Yeah. Good point. So no, I'm not doing Finland with them, unfortunately. I am going to 42 Gear Street. I just came back from Hamburg on Tuesday morning. And yeah, it's about 35C here. But yeah, something that I got for those of you who may not have seen it on my Instagram is that I got up on stage with Monuments for a song which half of them knew about and half of them didn't, and I ended up with this awesome photo of me and Andy doing the song Lavos. So that was awesome. That was at Head Crash in Hamburg, and yeah, I'm absolutely chuffed with that photo. It's great. So yes, I'm going to see Henning in just a few days' time. and I'm going to be driving down with Mike from CGS, Jake Lee, and who was the other one? My brain is... No, it's the three of us and Lee Fuge and Tom James from Elevated Jam Tracks driving down. And yeah, then we're coming back with a certain Canadian in the car. And when we come back, I'm going to be taking Glenn on a kind of a tour of the UK. So that's going to keep me extremely busy. And yeah, you can see here how it waited 60 seconds and now it's making all the that fat render tube of sound. Yeah, that's right. When it's kind of limited like this, it looks bananas, and it kind of is. How much power was I projecting? As much as I could muster on that. Andy said to me later, I'll teach you how to scream, because like screaming isn't something that I've got a lot of experience with. But the singing I can kind of do easier than Andy can, because it's kind of all I've ever known. I can do high vocals fairly easy, and Andy has to put quite a lot more effort into that. But when it comes to screaming, he is an absolute monster, and I couldn't even hold a little like crappy candle. So he's going to try and teach me that, and I've been showing him a couple of things of how I stay open and kind of reach high notes without putting too much effort in. Yeah, hope it pays well. Yeah, pays all right. But I very much enjoy the tour with Monuments. I'm with my friends, and I got quite a lot of work done. I did a lot of this on the road, and there are videos coming out with Produce Like a Pro very soon, which I edited on the road. Both of the last Mix Reacts videos that you've seen were edited in the tour van on something that a video is coming out with very soon, my new M2 Mac. I got the M2 Mac MacBook Air, and it's incredible. Oh, and by the way, I also got, and another set of videos is coming on this, a Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck is really cool. I'm not sure at this point if I'll keep it, because now that I got the Mac, because my red laptop kind of died, it's all a bit up in the air. But I'll be making videos about doing production with a Steam Deck and whether that's viable, because you can have Linux on there, so you can run Reaper in Linux, which is super stable. You can also run Windows on it if you so desire, which there are a lot more plugins supported on Windows. And because you can plug in a USB-C dock, you can plug in things like an iLock and an interface, as well as external power, and you can genuinely run a full like portable recording studio off a Steam Deck, which is stupid, but you can. And for a lot of people, that kind of setup, I mean, it seems silly, but if you travel a lot, then it might be worth having a gaming system that also doubles up as a legitimate production environment. And then you only need to take one machine, one charger, still only one interface. It's relatively silent. All that kind of stuff. I mean, you might want to take a mouse and keyboard combo with you, maybe. You don't have to though, and depending on what you're doing. But yeah, I'm not sure if I can justify it, because another piece of news that just came in is that there's a very real possibility that I might be applying to buy this house. That kind of got sprung on us fairly recently. So that's something that we're going to have to try and sort very soon. Which means that I might sell an amp or two. I'll be selling that Steam Deck. There's a couple of things that I got recently that won't be staying to kind of fund a house deposit. So that's fun. But yeah, you can see this all rendering, and I think that kind of proves its point. That is going to churn out lots of MP3s, WAV files, and the original 48K 24. What song is that goes on forever? So Do Not Disturb. 42 Gear Street. Will I get to see Scott? I will. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Scott. I need to cancel all these because some of these songs are far too long with starts and stops. And that's something I forgot to do. So it's a good thing I'm still on stream, because that would have been really, really annoying. 2 queued renders failed. Remove. That's fine. I'm literally going to just go through and check the starts and ends of every song. It's something that's quite mundane, but needs to be done. Oh, so here we go. That's fine. That's a little long. But it's these things that need to be trimmed now we're at the master phase, because I'm not doing a separate mastering project, which is a little weird. Yeah, not every it's kind of not that common that usually I leave gaps at the start and the end so that when I get to a separate mastering project, I've got everything ready. Why would I take Glenn to Tottenham Stadium? Talking of Tottenham, in Tottenham is Dan Weller. I might be going to see him very soon. The reverb fades there, perfect. That needs that bringing in. Oh, no, that's where it starts. Back that up a little. A little bit more, half a second. There we go. There is where that song ends. That's a considerable amount of gap. I can see that that one ends properly. This one is good. That one might be a little long. Oh, you want to go to Tottenham Stadium? Okay. Cool, there's those weird kind of crackles in there, but they're part of the album now. And, as I was saying, now that the start and stops are done, let's try this again. So I'm going to add this to the render queue with a 30-second delay. It doesn't need to be 60 seconds. Yeah, overwrite. Yep. And then do the 44.1, 16, MP3, 256. Embed metadata. Embed title, date, time if not provided. Value. Could that just be region? Does that work? Joel Boone. This is something that I've not done in a while. Project. Album. And track number. Let's see, where's track number? Track number, because if this all works with the same stuff as before, I Al's been listening in flat response and it kicks. That's awesome. Well, if I'm lucky, if these do exactly what I hope, and these wildcards follow wildcards, I should have checked that. Yes, they do as well. Region number. Okay, fantastic. That means that's going to embed all the details into the MP3s. So that means that that's done as well automatically. And yeah, overwrite. And render all. Have you had your render all today? But yeah, that is probably a very good place to end it because I've now done pretty much everything that I can automate. And it's going to wait a little while to make sure it's loaded in. This stuff. And that is something I'm going to send to Joel and I'm going to listen to in the car, and then I'm going to go, wait, we need to change a thing, because I always do that and I always need to change a thing because that's what I'm like. But thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a really awesome project. What do I think about production in Reaper? Well, it's what I do for a living. So yeah, it's good enough to make a living in. So there you go. Thank you everybody for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join us on the Discord. You can always support us on Patreon. I will be back with more of these kind of streams after 42 Gear Street, where I am taking pretty much my entire filming rig. So I'm going to be filming. I have my own set at 42 Gear Street this year. 2 cameras, 2 mics. Hopefully I've got a guitar/bass board that I can record with. I'm going to be taking the Evo 16 from Audient so I can record everything and absolutely go hog wild with making sure that everything is covered. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Hey everyone. That might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hop Hole Studios. See you there.